Hey, it's Casey Orr and Sean Whitfield, and we're keeping you up to speed on iTruckTV.com. And this week, it was one of the biggest races in all the NASCAR season, the night race at Bristol, and in this case, the Irwin Tools night race, and it had a little something for everybody. We had pit row strategy, we had gas-saving strategy, we had drivers mad at one another, we had driver and crew chief mad at one another, but at the end of the night, we had Joey Logano with his third win of the season.
And you can't go without mentioning even some wrecked race cars at Bristol and some torn-up sheet metal, so that's just part of the competitive exciting racing that we can always expect at the night race at Bristol Motor Speedway. And of course, Joey Logano got his sixth victory of his career out of 207 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series races. And Casey, believe it or not, this was Joey Logano's third victory of the 2014 NASCAR season.
You look at the guys that have 3 wins right now. It's Jimmy Johnson, a championship pedigree. Brad Keselowski's won a championship. Jeff Gordon, multiple championships. Dale Earnhardt Jr., no championship, but obviously a pedigree and a name everybody recognizes. And now Joey Logano. I think a guy that came into the sport with a lot of fanfare, maybe didn't meet some pretty lofty expectations, but is he coming into his own now? Because he's got 3 wins, and he's right up there next to some really big names.
Yes, he is. And a lot of us had kind of written Joey off, but he got moved from Joe Gibbs Racing to Team Penske, and certainly has had a resurgence on his career in 2014. Also, we got to mention a big weekend for the manufacturer of Ford Motor Company. This is the first time since August 2006 that they swept all 3 races at Bristol Motor Speedway.
That's the good news for Ford. And the great news is for Penske, they have 2 cars with 6 wins. However, their counterparts over at Roush Fenway have 3 cars and only 2 wins. So, good for Penske, not so great for Roush Fenway right now.
Let's get right into the results of the Irwin's Tool night race at Bristol Motor Speedway that ran this past Saturday night. And as we said a moment ago, Joey Logano ended up in victory lane. The driver that came in second was teammate Brad Keselowski. He posted his 4th top 10 finish in 10 races at Bristol. Matt Kenseth came in third, his 19th top 10 finish in 30 races at Bristol Motor Speedway. In 4th spot, we had Jimmy Johnson. 5th, Kurt Busch. 6th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 7th, Carl Edwards. 8th was Jamie McMurray. 9th, Paul Menard. And 10th, Greg Biffle.
Sean, we got to hand it to Jamie McMurray. Led a race high 148 laps. One of those drivers that needed to win in order to get into the chase. That's Jamie's MO. He kind of surprises us with a win every year. It didn't happen at Bristol. He got shuffled to the back towards the end. Some drivers that didn't have a good night at Bristol: Casey Kane 35th, Kyle Busch 36th, Dale Earnhardt 39th, Denny Hamlin 40th, and Eric Almirola 41st.
There were 9 caution flags for 64 laps and 16 lead changes among 9 drivers.
Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin tangled early in the race. That led to Denny Hamlin being angry and throwing his Hans device at Kevin Harvick. That was part of Bristol that I think we're used to seeing. And then Kyle Busch and his crew chief, Dave Rogers, get into it. Dave Rogers tells Kyle just to park it, and so Kyle does just that at the race, leaves his car on pit row. It wouldn't be Bristol if some people didn't leave upset.
Well, you know, Casey, we saw all that and so much more at Bristol, but I think with 2 races to go in getting ready to head to the chase for the final 10, I think we're going to see more of that. It's just going to be at Atlanta Motor Speedway and Richmond International Raceway.
The pressure continues to go up and up as these guys continue to look at the standings and try to find whether or not their name is in or out when it comes to the chase.
All right, as we head to Atlanta Motor Speedway this weekend for the Oral-B USA 500, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series stacks up like this. Jeff Gordon's the leader, 27 points over second place Dale Earnhardt Jr. 3rd is Brad Keselowski. 4th, Joey Logano. 5th is Matt Kenseth. 6th is Jimmy Johnson. 7th, Kevin Harvick. 8th is Carl Edwards. 9th, Ryan Newman. And 10th, Clint Boyer.
12 drivers have wins. That's 12 guys guaranteed to make the chase at this point. Right now, we will have at least 2 guys that don't have wins that will make the chase. Right now, that's Matt Kenseth. He's got the most points with no wins. 2nd is Ryan Newman, the most points with no wins. Clint Boyer, Greg Biffle, Kyle Larson, Casey Kane. Those 4 guys are fighting for the final 2 spots.
Of course, we're going to continue to keep you up to date with all things NASCAR here on iTruckTV.com. But join us each and every Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for Valvoline Racing Radio on Rock 105. And you can also catch us on iHeartRadio. That does it for this week's
week's Up to Speed on iTruckTV.com.
Right here on the NASCAR Update at iTruck TV, where Sean and I keep you up to speed.